Welcome to episode 332 of the Postal Hub podcast. I'm Ian Kerr. In this episode, we're going to talk about Wienbox. It's the carrier-neutral parcel locker network in Vienna. Joining me in a moment will be Monika Unterholzner. She's the Deputy Director General at the Wiener Stadtwerke Group, and she's got responsibility for the Wienbox there. Professor Andreas Breinbauer, who's head of the logistics department at the University of Applied Sciences BFI Vienna, and David Strauß. He's a researcher in the Logistics and Transport Management Department at the University of Applied Sciences BFI Vienna. What a mouthful, all of that. Well, we're going to be talking about parcel lockers, carrier-neutral parcel lockers in Vienna. Well, that's enough from me. Let's get stuck into it. Joining me on the line are Monika Unterholzner. She's the Deputy Director General of the Wiener Stadtwerke Group and having special responsibility for logistics amongst her many areas of responsibilities, as well as Professor Dr. Andreas Breinbauer. He's the head of the logistics department at the University of Applied Sciences BFI Vienna, and David Strauß. He's a researcher, logistics and transport management at the University of Applied Sciences BFI Vienna. Welcome, everybody. We're going to talk about Wienbox. We're going to talk about parcel lockers today. Monika, perhaps I can ask you to start by giving us a quick overview of what Wienbox is.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to join this interview and to tell you something about what we do in Vienna about parcel lockers. We started in 2020 a project called Wien Out of the Box, seeing that parcel lockers were rising in figures in Vienna, and seeing also that we had a problem with logistics, which were also rising at the beginning of the Corona crisis, and also that CO2 emissions were strongly rising in Vienna due to a rise in transport. And we said, as a city, we have to tackle not only the topic public transport, which is also a responsibility of Wiener Stadtwerke, but we also have to tackle the topic of city logistics. And we said city logistics need a new setting in Vienna, and also a new framework, a new legal framework, but also a new framework of organization. On the one hand, on the other hand, we said that parcel lockers, and especially open parcel lockers, can be a solution for city logistics, acting as micro hubs. And we saw that in Vienna, 7 different companies started to set up parcel locker systems that started open source parcel locker systems. But we also saw strongly rising systems set up by Amazon and the local postal services. So we said we have to make our mindset what the city of Vienna wants to do with parcel lockers in the future, which policy it wants to follow. And we also decided that we wanted to test parcel lockers as an instrument of city logistics. And that's something where we have a USP in Vienna, because we wanted to embed parcel lockers in an overall city logistics policy. And we also wanted to take care of our open space in the city and to make sure that parcel lockers are not overloading public space in the city. So at first we took some policy decisions in Vienna as far as the framework of parcel lockers is concerned. And we took a very important policy decision in Vienna. As a city of Vienna, we only support open parcel locker systems because they make logistics easier in the city. So we had this project set up, which on the one hand started to deal with the role of parcel lockers as an instrument of city logistics, and what can we, as Wiener Stadtwerke, but also as a network of partners, which I will come to later, what can we do with these parcel lockers to make city logistics better. And on the other hand, we were starting to look at the legal framework of city logistics, and we started a process of opinion building and of policy development for laying the basis for developing a master plan for city logistics for the City of Vienna for the next years. And this also is a process which is unique as far as we've seen so far, because we're all involving all parts of city planning, but also of the economy, of Chamber of Commerce, and of experts. And all this community is developing this master plan together in a series of workshops. And also this process is very important for us to design a picture of the future of city logistics in Vienna. And so it's Vienna Out of the Box is a project with these two strands. So using boxes and making piloting of boxes. And on the other hand, how should logistics be managed in the city of Vienna in a CO2 future?
So it's interesting that you've started this as sort of a policy approach to urban logistics. It's not just about the parcel locker network. So does that mean that you've tried to take a sort of a broader view of it, and rather than simply saying there are lockers, we need to regulate them, it's part of a bigger picture? Is that right?
That's right. Yes, that's actually the focus. And we've seen that parcel lockers are growing in figures in Vienna anyway. But we said if the number of parcel lockers in Vienna is growing and growing, what can we do to use them as micro hubs for logistics? And we are very successful on that way, because we tested a few use cases already, which work very well. One of them, for instance, is to manage lost and found processes with public transport via locker boxes. So when people lose something in the train, they can get they can call our transport company, and then the customer service of the transport company sends a code, puts the lost item into the box again, and people can pick up 24/7 what they lost in the public transport. So we develop one use case after the other as a big group of companies, and we find out that parcel lockers are much more than only parcel lockers, but they are really lockers that can be used for many different processes of logistics.
Now, you mentioned that it's backed by the City of Vienna, and that there are other organisations and bodies that are part of the project backers, shall we say. Who else is involved in this?
So first of all, it's all companies that are part of Wiener Stadtwerke, which is energy supply, which is energy networks, and it's also our public service companies, 3 of them in Vienna. So it's already a broad network with 16,000 people working within the Stadtwerke that can use parcel lockers now for their personal purposes. But what's very important is that the City of Vienna itself is part of the project with the urban planning and the mobility department of the City of Vienna. And Andreas Breinbauer is one of our most important partners, because from the first moment on, and that's the third USP we have in this project was completely accompanied by science and by the department of Andreas Breinbauer, who is doing all the studies accompanying our measures. We have a consulting company, Gregori, who has a long track record in parcel locker experience. We have the private company MyFlexbox, which is the fastest growing locker company in Austria, but also I think in Germany and other European countries. And they are our partners for the open locker systems on the sites of Wiener Stadtwerke. What's very important too is that we have the support of Wirtschaftskammer Wien, which is the Chamber of Commerce in Vienna, and there it's the logistics and mobility department. And we get the support because the Chamber of Commerce is doing all the networking to the companies, which in the end are involved in using parcel lockers, but also in developing the city logistics master.
Now, Andreas, Monika just mentioned there that you are part of the academic support for the Wienbox project. So can you, perhaps give us a bit of an idea from your perspective? Why set up a citywide parcel locker network?
This was the crucial question at the beginning of our research, as Monika has mentioned, that we are part of the project. The first we wanted to investigate was state of the art of white label parcel lockers worldwide. So in the intention that City of Vienna can learn from that. And in a global search of best practices, we identified some best practices. One was the Locker Alliance in Singapore as one of a really good best practice, which can be a role model. And also we had a look at the Lockerland, Poland and PostNord with a huge network in the Scandinavian countries. And then we're looking about the critical success factors for a well set up parcel locker system in a city. And we identified 4 critical success factors: costs, location, environment, and customer satisfaction. So a well-located parcel locker, and this is the answer of your question, well-located parcel locker system can reduce carbon dioxide emissions by reducing delivery distances, reduce costs for the logistics service providers, and improve the customer satisfaction. These are the main factors why to set up a white label locker system network. And as the customer perspective, the user perspective is of crucial importance for the implementation of a sustainable last mile concept and has been given little consideration in practice or in scientific studies to the date. We focused on a case study. The case study was a Kaufpark Alt-Erler, where David can say something about it because he did the research in that context.
Yeah, thank you. We identified customer perspective at the crucial point because if the customer is not using the device, we have a big problem because then there's no parcel locker network. So the customer is the crucial point in implementation. And we then got forward and asked all the inhabitants of Kaufpark Alt-Erler, like 3,100 via surveys, and we got 550 responses. So great database. And we did at first a qualitative, explorative content analysis of the respondents' comments. And it was like really open question to ask what aspects are important to customers. And the 4 aspects that are really important to customers are slipper distance, one thing you always talked about in your podcast, then the interface management, so that says that all cab providers need to be integrated in a system. So it's the call for white label lockers. The third one is that it's important that the technical implementation of a locker is really has to be really good. So the touch screen needs to work, has to be big enough, and so on. And then the last one is the physical implementation. So it's important that the locker has the right position and so on. So that was the first analysis. And the second analysis we did on the quantitative results. They are currently in the publication process. And there we ask more specific, what customer attitudes increase the likelihood of using a parcel locker? And we figured out that the reliability of the service itself increases the likelihood, the anonymity shrinks the likelihood, as well as if a parcel locker is contradictory to the flexibility in your daily routines. This is not good for using parcel locker. What is good if a parcel locker provides consumer safety for their products and for the consumers themselves, and if the parcel locker is near you. So slipper distance, again, is a huge point. And the likelihood of using parcel lockers is also increased if you have a lot of deliveries each month. And the most notable results for us was that environmental benefits and age had no effect on the probability of using parcel lockers. So we concluded that if you want to have a parcel locker network and people who use the network frequently, it's really important to put an emphasis on customer satisfaction, so high reliability, slipper distance, consumer safety, and then environmental benefits will be realized through a good service, but indirectly.
That's an interesting point. So the environmental, can you just say that again? The environmental benefits will be realized. Just say that again, please, David.
The environmental benefits will be realized if you address the customer convenience first. So put an emphasis on customer convenience, make a good service that is in the slipper distance, that is reliable, that is safe, and then people will use it, and then a good network will automatically realize the environmental benefits that are written about in the scientific literature.
And we're referring there, of course, to one of an interview I did last year, episode 299, I think it was Paul Boyes from the University of Groningen. We did some very interesting research into this, basically what we're talking about here, about the concept of slipper distance and emissions and all those sorts of things. When we're talking about these lockers, though, Monika hinted at it before about who can use the lockers. So who can use these lockers? I mean, are they being used by delivery companies only to deliver to, or is it public work only, or is it can individuals put things into lockers? So who can actually use them? And perhaps you can also tell us which delivery companies are currently using the lockers.
If we talk about open parcel lockers or free access parcel lockers, virtually everyone can use it. So private persons can sign up with a parcel locker network and then use it as a store box or for getting and sending back parcels. But also retailers can use them for a click and collect system. At the moment, service providers including DHL, DPD, GLS, UPS, and FedEx use open parcel lockers in Vienna. And they are partners of our operator Flexbox. So there is a wide range, and that's the advantage of open locker systems, that virtually everybody is, be it a company, be it a private person, be it a logistics service provider, can use the lockers as their own infrastructure. And that's the charming thing about open parcel locker systems.
I wanted to ask about the locations of the lockers as well. As part of this project, is there any sort of central control of the locker locations, or is it really still up to the various network operators to find the right sites?
It's a mix, actually, because the City of Vienna has set up rules, and the major rule is that in publicly owned space, so space that is owned by the City of Vienna, there are no parcel lockers allowed. With one or two exceptions where we do a piloting, and the exception is at public service stations where different sharing systems are already set up. But apart from that, public space, no parcel lockers. So the companies that own parcel locker systems look for partners in industry, or also companies like Wiener Stadtwerke, where they can set up parcel lockers on their premises or on private ground. So in public space, no parcel lockers are allowed, only on private ground. So that's the regulation about it. And if within the Wienbox network, we have already created a joint label, so open parcel lockers are part of the Wienbox labeling network, which is an advantage for the parcel locker owners, because there are 2 or 3 specifics that are part of this, that are criteria for this label Wienbox. And one of them is that also from the choice of the site, the City of Vienna has given green light. So it's, as David said, it's a good location. It's in slipper distance of as many people as possible. And it's barrier-free, it's open and accessible 24/7. So there are a few criteria the City of Vienna has set up for a box so that it can be part of our Wienbox network. And what is important for us in the future is also that we interlink all these networks of all these Wienboxes also on a digital level. So that's the next step. Maybe it's looking forward to the next questions. But what is very important is that that Wienboxes, it doesn't matter who owns this open box, but if it's a Wienbox, it can be interlinked digitally, and it can be accessed by the partners of the network, which I named before, private persons, companies, and also logistics partners. So what is very important is that the quality label Wienbox stands for quality criteria, which have been set up by the City of Vienna. But also Wienbox stands for a network of more than 500 parcel lockers in Vienna that can be accessible through one digital platform.
Andreas, do you want to add something on this?
Yes, because you mentioned the location of the parcel locker. I think that the critical point is the slipper distance. The closer the box is to the apartment, the higher is the probability that the user are picking up the parcels immediately or in time. If the distance, and we say that the optimum of distance is not more than 200 meters, is longer, the tendency that the parcel will stay longer in the parcel locker and is blocking for the delivery of the logistics service providers another parcel delivery is higher. So I think that was a very important result for the location and placement of the parcel lockers near apartments, that the distance should be closer than 200 meters.
So, Monika, looking forward then, what's next for the Wienbox project?
The next step in the Wienbox project is to interconnect all the boxes under the Wienbox level also on a digital basis. And one of the most important next steps is also to be able to address Wienboxes in the future, so that you can order or put the address of a Wienbox also on a list to be mailed to. That's very important for us. And we're working on that with the Ministry of Transport and Climate Ministry, that's the right name. And I think we're going to be successful in the near future on that.
What's the current spread of the network, by the way? How many lockers are there in place right now?
In Vienna, we have at the moment more than 500 open parcel lockers at the moment, and the figure is rising.
Is there a specific target in mind, or is it just a case of, well, we'll let the network grow organically as operators are ready to add more lockers and let them join the Wienbox network?
Maybe Andreas can help me then, but the target is that, so the ideal would be that within every person in Vienna has a box in slipper distance, or on his daily routine and daily way. A box can be easily available to fulfill needs of daily logistics and daily routines. And I think the number in Vienna would be about 1,000 lockers in total, which we have if we count open parcel systems, open parcel lockers, and the one which is owned by Postal Services and Amazon. But I think as far as the open parcel locker network is concerned, about 1,000 parcel lockers would be the right figure for Vienna, but I would like Andreas to correct that if it's wrong.
Yes, I think that's a really realistic and good figure, because we know from studies worldwide that studies from New York, from Manhattan, that this would be a really good figure. And as we have mentioned before, the critical part is the slipper distance, especially in residential areas. The slipper distance should be not longer than 200 meters, because the dwell time would be too long for very efficient delivery. And I think that we are learning more and more about the optimum location of parcel lockers, and this is what it makes the project of the Wienbox really unique, because we are permanent in exchange of ideas, opinions, and also academic and scientific evidence what happens worldwide to optimize the system. And this is all embedded in a city logistics concept, which makes it also very unique worldwide, the Wienbox project.
Now, if any listeners want to have a look at a website or something like that gives you a bit more information about the Wienbox project, is there an online resource people can access?
Yes, we have the homepage. It's called wienbox.at. So it's interlinkable, and there you can see all lockers that are already connected to the network in Vienna. You can look at them and you can see how the network is spread already, and every new locker will be added there. And that's the big platform at the Monika mentioned. So over this website, it should be a mobile app as well in the future. And then it's really easy to access every locker, and you're not you don't need to do an account for every provider. You just need Wienbox platform. And also the scientific papers are at the homepage of the University of Applied Sciences if somebody wants to read a little bit more in depth about the research.
I would like to add that it's very important doing interviews like this, because where we still see difficulties is that is in the mindset of people. So the idea to use parcel lockers for other parts of daily routine is not that widespread yet. But we are sure that in the future it's going to be possible as soon as parcel lockers become a part of daily routines. First of all with parcels, but probably later on also with other processes like getting the uniform from your employer or the new mobile device or whatsoever. We're testing this too. But in the mindset of people, city logistics and avoiding double, triple effort in doing the same way, this is not yet so much in the mind of people. And this is very important to us also to make a change of mindset with this project. And this is on our agenda for the future too, that people think more, how can I avoid emissions by using intelligent systems for my daily ways and routines?
I agree, fully agree. Maybe one room of improvement is concerning the enterprises that they can use parcel locker systems, because it's very new for them. And as Monika has mentioned, there is a lot of communication needed about the options that parcel locker system will also provide for the enterprises and the retailers.
I will put a link on the episode page on thepostalhub.com to the Wienbox website and to the university website that David mentioned earlier on. And, well, it'd be great to continue this conversation. We'll keep an eye on what's happening in Vienna with its network of open parcel lockers. Monika Unterholzner, Deputy Director General at the Wiener Stadtwerke Group, Professor Andreas Breinbauer from the University of Applied Sciences BFI Vienna, and David Strauß, also from the University of Applied Sciences BFI Vienna. Thank you all very much for joining us on the Postal Hub podcast today.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Coming soon on the Postal Hub podcast, something to do with trains and more postal regulation, because you can't get enough of it. I know. Postal reform and stuff like that. Don't miss any of these episodes. That's very forward of me, isn't it? Don't miss any of these episodes. Well, yes, don't miss any of these episodes. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe via a podcast platform like, well, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to my email newsletter. Go to thepostalhub.com and follow the links there to sign up for my weekly newsletter and other email things that I send out from time to time. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn, Ian Kerr. You don't have to connect with me. You can just follow me. And that way you get all the interesting stuff that I post appearing in your LinkedIn feed. It's got to be better than some of the other rubbish that's on LinkedIn at the moment. My goodness. It really does make you wonder, doesn't it? Anyway, I'll save that rant for another day. I've mentioned LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter for some reason, but it's not called Twitter anymore. And what else? Oh, email me. Ian@thepostalhub.com is my email address. I'm Ian Kerr. Thanks for listening in, and I look forward to your company next time on the Postal Hub podcast.